Great. Well, welcome everybody to this month's virtual event. We'll be discussing the future of skin health by exploring microbiome-based technologies, or this diagnostics, I should say. Before we begin, a few housekeeping items. Tessa, we all know Tessa. She'll be monitoring our chat. So go ahead and provide any questions that you have in that chat, and we'll make sure to answer those towards the end of our session today. As you might have noticed, we've had a little change in our panel today. Dr. Oliver Worsley just had a baby. So congrats to him and his family. But we'll be hearing from him in the future. We do have some very special guests from our partner at Sequential here with us, and I'm excited for you to hear from them. Petronille, could you please start us off and share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Shelby. Yeah, it's really nice to be with you. So I'm Petronille Houdart. I'm French, and I'm the skincare director at Sequential. So I'm a pharmacist by training, specializing in dermopharmacy. And I spent years translating scientific research into innovative skincare products. And at Sequential, I lead innovative research skincare health, translating the data into microbiome care products and product recommendations.
Wonderful. Thank you. We're so excited to have you here with us. And Marya, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, it's Love. Thank you so much for having me today. So, hi everyone. My name is Marya, and I'm based out of Manchester here in the UK. I have a master's degree in marketing strategy and innovation, so just a little bit different from Petronille in that I am not a scientist by nature, but that's actually been quite helpful with the work that I'm doing here at Sequential, in that a lot of this complicated science that is being sprouted, especially when you deal with the microbiome, can be quite complicated for individuals to understand, especially, consumers are still not that aware about it, or like how it can actually impact the skin. And so a lot of the work that I'm doing here at Sequential is actually tailored towards taking that really complicated science and making it more digestible for individuals to be able to understand.
Wonderful. We're excited to hear from you. I am Shelby Isaacson. I am the director of marketing for LaFleur Live Probiotic Skincare. Prior to this, I worked in biotech and the cannabis side of things. So I really love plant-based medicine and how we can use that to support our bodies. How about we just jump right in, because we have a lot of questions to cover today. Let's start off with you, Petronille. Can you share a little bit about why Sequential was started?
Yeah, sure. So Sequential was co-founded by Dr. Oliver Worsley, Dr. Albert Dashi, and me. So bringing together our expertise in molecular genetics, microbiome science, and skincare innovation. And traditionally, the skincare industry has taken a one-size-fits-all approach, relying on general product recommendation instead of real science-backed personalized solution. And the traditional ways of assessing skin, like checking moisture, UV damage, or even dermatologist assessment, only look at the completely missing deeper biological factors, like the skin microbiome. And actually, the microbiome plays a huge role in skin health. It affects everything from acne, eczema, to sensitivity, and overall skin balance. And the problem is that most people, and even many brands, don't have the tools to truly understand how these microbes interact with the skin. And that's exactly where this test Sequential comes in. So we use quantitative real-time PCR analysis to create a detailed microbial profile, giving you both consumer and skincare professionals a clear picture of the skin unique ecosystem. And this helps people make smarter, more informed choice about their skincare routine. And so one of our mantra at Sequential was to bring science to people. So our kit really empowers individuals to truly understand their skin biology, helping them to optimize their skincare routine in a way that it's actually backed by science and not just only based on marketing.
Mm. So did you feel like that was like what the market gap was that you would be filling with Sequential?
Yeah, exactly. It was from the tests that we are seeing on the market. We don't have like deeper insights on what's happening exactly on the skin. and at the biological level. So Sequential really bring that to the consumer and to the practitioner.
Wonderful. Could you talk a little bit more about what the PCR technology is and how that's really working with helping people understand like current and future needs of skin health testing?
Yeah, so actually qPCR technology is really a game changer for skin health testing because it's fast, it's accurate, and it's affordable. And I'm sure a lot of people knows about qPCR, at least the terminology, because we've already seen how it revolutionized medicine, especially during COVID-19, where it provided quick and precise results. So DNA sequencing is still important for deep research, but it takes a long time and it costs much more, which is not really ideal for skincare application. So qPCR, quantitative PCR, on the other hand, gives highly accurate results in a short fraction of time. And for skin health, so for especially in cosmetic, this means we can quickly and accurately detect key microbes linked to skin health without the long wait. And it's a powerful, practical solution that helps both consumer and practitioner to get real science-backed insight into what's actually happening on your skin.
Yeah, we don't like to think about the bacteria and fungus. I always joke that like we're a walking universe. I tell my daughter that all the time now. I'm like, oh, you're a walking universe of bacteria. Thank you. That was really helpful. Maria, how accurate are the results and what's that margin of error?
Yeah, of course. So to Petronille's point just a little while back, they're actually extremely accurate. So one of the reasons why we've also identified qPCR as the approach that we wanted to utilize for this testing kit is that we're able to do this with a 99.9% accuracy on our absolute quantification. And when I say absolute quantification as well, we're talking about being able to get the exact numbers of all of the microbes that exist in any given microbial sample that we collect. So really good and accurate results. And as you can imagine, margins of error are really low as a result of that.
Yeah, definitely. When we have people coming to us as skin health professionals, we want to be able to have that confidence as well that what we're providing them as with this service is the 99.9, especially because it's new, it's nascent. But I think too, thankfully, like the gut microbiome industry has definitely helped people understand like there's something happening there. But knowing that we have that margin of error, I believe does bring some confidence and makes the spa professional or the skincare professional really look like the expert that they are. So I thank you so much for that. That's wonderful. So one other question, Mara, that I find that a lot of people are asking us, can the test predict skin conditions or sensitivities or like things like acne or rosacea or even dermatitis? I'd be curious what you think about that.
Yeah, of course. So with the profiling that we use, we can stratify individuals who have high or low inflammation. So levels of sensitivity, pigmentation, hydration, skin firmness, as well as antioxidant capacity. So those are things that we can identify. We can also see whether or not the microbiome is in balance for these individuals. And something that's really critical to understand here is that when individuals suffer from conditions, as you mentioned, like acne, atopic dermatitis, rosacea, those individuals usually have an unbalanced microbiome. So being able to understand that at its core is also a really key signifier of how those things can be addressed as well. And then finally, it's really critical to understand that within the report we evaluate 20 key microbes within this test. And each of those microbes is given a definition within the report. And within those definitions, you'll see that certain microbes are sometimes linked to certain inflammatory conditions. If there is an abundance of Staphylococcus aureus within any given sample, you're likely to trigger an inflammation response within the skin. So when those particular bacteria or microbes are much higher than the optimum range, you will find that problems such as acne, atopic dermatitis, rosacea, those things can be triggered depending on which bacteria are in higher abundance as compared to others.
I know when I took the test, just seeing the word staph on there was rather shocking. And that's something that we need to have, Petronille, you're correct. Like it's not so much like you're eradicating everything. It's more about like that balance. Is that right? Okay. Yeah, that was one of the things that I definitely joked about with my son was looking at it. What in the world? You have staph on your face. I think it's so hey, it's just how balanced it is. That's really
Well,
wonderful.
it comes back down to the balance of things, making sure that everything is well distributed.
Yeah, like the forest fire analogy when a forest grows back for sure. Okay. So, all right, why is the test only used on the forehead? That's another question we're getting a lot.
Yeah, of course, the skin is the largest organ on the body, and our proprietary test can actually be used on most parts of the body where there is a larger skin surface. But what you'll find is that the face will have a unique microbiome profile as compared to the forearm, the legs, the armpit. Depending on which area you're actually extracting from, you'll have a different microbial sample that is collected. But within this context, when we're talking about recommending skincare products off the back of a test, it just makes a lot more sense to evaluate the face since that's where those products are then going to be implemented in order to see a change of routine. So the reason that we usually implement forehead as being the place that we collect the sample from is because we've done some internal studies and we've actually found that's the most representative of the facial microbiome when it comes to, especially as compared to the cheek and other parts of the face. So that's why we tend to focus purely on the forehead in this particular instance.
I wondered that because a lot of times I'll sit like this or like I'm on a computer and am I applying bacteria from another location to where this portion of my face would potentially be inaccurate compared to like you're not touching your forehead very much. Um, but- well, I love it. Petronille, are there any skin conditions or skin types for which the test might be less effective or even reliable?
Yeah, so actually the test is designed to be, as we say, highly accurate and effective across different skin types. But there are certain conditions where results might be less accurate or at least influenced by external factors. So, for example, if a person has recently used antibiotics or a strong topical treatment like steroids, these factors can temporarily alter the microbiome and potentially impacting the test results.
What about like the Fitzpatrick scale? Can anybody on the scale be able to use it?
Yeah, of course, there is no restriction on that. And so it's more like the environmental factors. Like, obviously, if you take antibiotics, it will kill some bacteria. So when you have the results of the test, it won't reflect what you have exactly on the skin on a normal setup, in a normal setup when you are not using antibiotics. Same for steroids. So it depends on more on the treatment rather than skin types or skin conditions.
Okay. If we had, as a skin health professional, somebody came in and told me that, like in the consult, how long should I have them wait before they actually take the test? If they did take antibiotics, if I found out like one of my clients was that, and rather than testing them, then how long should I potentially have them wait?
Yeah, so we recommend to wait at least 2 to 3 weeks. Best
Okay.
is 4 weeks, really for the skin to reset. So it will be anything between 2 to 4 weeks, ideally 4 weeks.
Okay. That's a great thing to find out. Thank you so much for that. How does the test compare to other common skin assessments, like for hydration or UV analysis?
Yeah, of course. The one thing that we do need to keep in mind with a lot of these tests, like when you mentioned hydration, when you're looking at transepidermal water loss, you're looking at a singular factor. And oftentimes you're looking at it at a very topical level, not going very deep. And the one really incredible thing about our test is that you're getting a really deep dive into the molecular side of things, which you can't really get with other tests within the market. It's an all-encompassing assessment instead of limited to a singular area. If you're doing a hydration test, you're only looking at hydration. You do a UV analysis, it's purely a UV analysis. pH, again, the same thing. Whereas this is really looking at absolutely everything, looking at the way that these bacteria interacting with one another, especially when a new product is introduced within that regimen, or even before that, just to see how things are going. And that's something that other tests can't really tell you on a much deeper molecular level what's actually happening. So that's something that's quite unique to our test alone.
That's the parts I think sometimes blows me away because just thinking about I have a kit right here and the fact that all you're having to do is have fresh pillow face and then all I'm doing is just setting it on here 10 full seconds. wrapping it up and sending it away. And to get that comprehensive, there's no blood pricks or anything else as some of the other ones where this is really non-invasive in the end. And you're being able to get all this information at once, which I think is actually one of the most exciting pieces of it, where it's almost so simple. There's some times where it's just, I'm so excited about it. As you can tell, I think it's really going to impact our whole industry and probably beyond, to be honest with you. Okay. Petronille, can the test identify potential allergies or like reactions to skincare ingredients? Which I was just saying it's non-invasive, but are there potential reactions?
Yeah, so actually the test doesn't directly identify allergies to specific skincare ingredients. And
Okay.
the reason is because allergic reactions are unique to each person and are primarily linked to genetics. So when someone is allergic to an ingredient, their body triggers an inflammatory response, which can then disrupt the skin microbiome. But that's a consequence of the allergy, not the cause. So what our test can do is to detect signs of inflammation and change in the skin microbial balance. So that's the consequence. So if your microbiome is out of balance, for example, it might indicate that something, whether it's a product or an environmental factor or an underlying skin condition, is affecting your skin health. But we can't pinpoint exactly what you are allergic to. So what a sequential test does is to give you a deeper insight into your skin microbiome and your skin traits, helping you understand how your skin responds to a treatment, a product, a skincare regime over a period of time, and whether your products are truly supporting a healthy environment, but not pinpoint the allergic reaction.
That makes sense to me. And correct me if I'm wrong, like my understanding too is if you have a happy, healthy skin microbiome, you're potentially going to have less reactive skin because of that. So if you can create that resiliency, there's a potential to not have as high of impact or high reaction to other things. Is that
Exactly.
accurate?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
accurate. And with a balanced microbiome, so it means you have also a strong skin barrier, so less chemical or products that might penetrate into the deeper layer of the skin and trigger some reaction.
There's some shocking statistics out there just about sensitive skin alone, where people think I have sensitive skin, but really is it just that your microbiome is incredibly reactive because it's so unhappy? Yeah, something definitely to consider. Uh, can the test help in determining like the effectiveness of current treatments and products that somebody's using?
So yes, actually the test is a powerful way to see if a skincare product or skincare treatment is actually working. And instead of, as I mentioned before, instead of relying on how the skin looks or feel, Sequential really test, analyze your skin microbiome and skin traits before and after using a product. So if a product is helping, you will see a healthier, more balanced microbiome with an increase in beneficial bacteria. And when you repeat your test after 4 to 6 weeks, you can see these results. But if it's causing irritation or disruption of your skin barrier, the test might reveal as well imbalances or early signs of inflammation even before you notice visible issue on your skin. So that's why this makes this skin health test a science-backed way to track skincare progress and helping to understand if what you are using is really benefiting your skin or if it's time to switch for another product.
Okay, so I noticed that you were saying about 4 weeks, somebody should be 4 to 6 weeks for testing. So do you feel like for the skin health professional, that's what the cadence should be that they should be recommending as well? Or are there any variations that they should be considering?
Actually, we recommend to redo a test and to really track the progress every 4 to 6 weeks. And again, is the time that the skin has time to reset as well and really to have some effect on the product on your skin. 4 to 6 weeks is a perfect time frame to track this progress.
Okay. And then are there other times, like seasonal or anything like that, when somebody should be suggesting having their skin tested again?
Yeah, so actually it depends on the products you are using, especially during summertime. You're using maybe a UV product that can have an impact as well. So it's nice to test before and after as well to see if during summertime you have some impact from other products that you might introduce into your routine.
Yeah, it's definitely something I need to think about as well. Okay. Marya, will the test suggest like dietary changes or supplements to improve your skin health or anything like that?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, for this one, it's no. So the test is not really designed to suggest dietary changes to skin health, although we have in the past evaluated if certain ingestibles paired with skincare products might have a positive impact on the skin. So, before eating them and then after eating them and taking the tests before and after, we have found that there were quite favorable results when taken with the correct ingestibles and skincare products. But the test itself won't really suggest any dietary changes, not at this stage. We're hoping in the future that's something that we are working on, but as of present, that's not really something that it does.
That's really interesting. Does that potentially correlate to the skin, brain, gut axis point? Is that why you're thinking that might be working?
Yeah, exactly. There's significant research articles that have been coming out recently that are suggesting that link is actually a lot more prevalent than we ever really thought. And so there really is this link between the gut and the skin that exists. It's just, which is why certain skincare companies are starting to come out with ingestible skincare products because they see the value in how even taking them orally can actually help supplement the skin barrier and help with the skin. And we have found from some internal studies that is true when used with the correct ingestible combined with the correct skincare ingredients. But when it comes to actual suggesting of dietary changes, I think we're just really early in that stage of understanding that gut skin axis, that we can't really get to that point just yet. But it is something that is of interest to us, and we're hoping to uncover more on that.
That's really exciting for sure. I know that we've talked a little bit about what it doesn't do. Does it provide any guidance on like environmental factors, pollution, climate, and how that might affect skin health?
Yeah, so definitely it does. It takes into account things like UV as well as pollution indexes in areas within which individuals live. So when they take the test, they do let us know cities, countries where they're living, and we're able to give them an environmental health kind of report within the report itself. So there's a section dedicated to that for them to understand whether or not they are inhabiting a healthy environment for their skin or not. I'm sure you can appreciate that oftentimes we're living in urban areas. So there will be higher levels of pollution. Depending on how close to the equator we are, we might have a lot more exposure to sunlight and stuff. When it comes to recommendations for things like that, it'll often come down to heightened SPF usage, making sure that antioxidants are included into a skincare routine. But it's good for them to understand as well whether their environment is actually having an adverse effect on all the hard work that their skincare products and maybe their diet are trying to counteract. So it's something that is included within our test as well.
Wonderful. Petronille, considering the level of detail involved in like accessing and adjusting, how do I explain that? I guess my big question is like, there's some very specific information that you guys are getting, that like that potential DNA information. How do you ensure that like personal data is like truly protected? Specifically, like how is that DNA information used, and if it's ever being shared with third parties? Could you share a little bit about that with our group here?
Yeah, and I think that's a really important question. And really at Sequential, protecting user data, personal data is really our top priority. So really the first thing I want to clarify is that the DNA we analyze comes from the skin microbiome. So it's microbial DNA. It's not human DNA. And I think that's really important because it makes a big
Different.
Yes. So that means we are looking at the DNA of the microbes that live on your skin. So not your personal genetic information. And when it comes to privacy, and we take this very seriously, so we have a few things that we put in place. So first of all, user data is never sold or shared with third parties. And it's only used to provide you with microbiome insights, nothing else. Second is the users are in full control of their data. So if you ever want to delete or opt out, you can do. And we follow as well strict privacy laws like GDPR to keep your information safe and at the highest level. And lastly, the data is only used for microbiome analysis. So the key thing is the DNA that we are working with is not human DNA, but it's microbes DNA.
That can probably put a lot of these individuals at ease that have had that question for sure. I have a couple other questions specifically about the report. With the report, we obviously here at LaFleur love our probiotics. But when the home care regimens that we are suggesting in the report are created, what was the basis of why we picked what we picked? And did somebody have to use LaFleur products in order to use our tests in their spas or for their clients?
So actually that's the partnership we have with LaFleur. Is a long partnership, and we have this section in the report that we are doing product recommendation. And actually all the product that we are recommended with LaFleur is product that we tested internally. So we know exactly what are the effects of the product and how we can assess the best skincare regimen for the user. So that's really one important aspect that I would like to highlight, is that we know already all the products, and we've tested this internally on several users to understand what is the impact of the product and what will be the best fit for each individuals. The second point is we can use the test without using before LaFleur product. So at least you understand your baseline. And if you want to follow the product recommendation, then you can track the progress with LaFleur product skincare regimen that we recommended.
Does it tell you anything about ingredients to avoid or ingredients to consider?
No, actually, we don't have this section because we think about this, but it could be very overwhelming having a list of chemicals that you should avoid or you should use. And that's why working with LaFleur, we know exactly what ingredient they have, and we are confident to recommend those products without having overwhelming list of ingredients.
I'd imagine the list might be longer than the actual report.
Exactly. And it can be tricky because the names are a bit difficult.
Absolutely. Tessa, do we have any questions that you wanted to provide us now?
No questions so far from the audience. Does anybody have any they want to chat in?
I have a couple if we don't.
I think you can take the stage, and if any come in, I'll let you know.
Wonderful. I am curious because you are at the forefront of the microbiome-based diagnostic in the data. Where do you see any strains like for specific conditions in the future that people will be applying, just like they go, oh, I need to have vitamin C for X? Are people going to get to the point where they say, oh, I need ABC bacteria because I'm struggling with this thing? Do you think it's going to get down to that point in the future? I'm hoping so, but I want to hear from the two of you what you think.
Yeah, sure. Marya, do you want to start or I start?
Yeah, you can go for it, and then I can supplement at the end.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Actually, that we are working towards this. I think we are still at an early stage to really having especially pinpoint specific ingredients or bacteria that can target specific skin condition extra. We start to see that some of the ingredients can really rebalance the skin and be really beneficial for skin sensitivity or even acne and atopic dermatitis, for example. But definitely, I think that's the future. And I think we are not that far from it, but we need maybe few more years and more data to really understand each different individual and microbiome profile to be able really to have this personalized solution for individuals.
I think that's really exciting. Part of why LaFleur's parent company, Dakota Biotech, was created was the belief that someday we could have different bacteria be prescribed instead of antibiotics. And so having probiotics actually be what is prescribed. So I'm really looking forward to that point in our future for sure. Rhea, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I think, you know what, the industry is still really young in this space. And so we have started to see a lot more of food for bacteria type ingredients coming out, fermented products, things like that, or products that will use fermented ingredients to help supplement the skin microbiome. But we've seen successful stories of good probiotics being used. And I think that's where we're headed. I think that's where we're starting to see things move, and that shift is going to start to come. I know that we've already started that by understanding the fact that feeding that unique microbial layer that we've got residing on top of our skin is becoming critical. But I think we're only going to start seeing more and more efforts being made towards that end goal, hopefully, in the future.
Wonderful. Could one of you explain the difference between the skin microbiome and the skin barrier? Because there seems to be a lot of confusion specifically around like, how do they work together? Are they the same thing? That would be really helpful for us.
Yeah, so actually they work together, but it's not the same thing. So actually we'd say that the skin microbiome is the first layer of your skin. And traditionally we think we are looking at just the skin physiology, different strata of the skins, but don't really look at the skin microbiome because it's still a new thing. But the skin microbiome is working closely it's the first line of defense. And when you have an imbalanced skin microbiome, you might have also as well imbalanced skin barrier. So because of all this connection between all the ceramide that you have in your skin barrier and that is food for beneficial bacteria, they are working closely together. And when you have an imbalanced skin microbiome, you have as well a weak skin barrier. When you have a strong skin barrier, you might have a balanced skin microbiome. So it's really it really interplays together, really to build this defense and have a proper hydration, less sensitivity, like what we say, a healthy skin.
Absolutely. That's really helpful. Thank you so much. Tessa, checking in on you really quick. Otherwise, I see Emily, our in-house esthetician, here, and I might have a couple questions for her as well.
Great. We do have a question from the audience. Regina asked if antibiotics use is a contraindication, would oncology, anti-cancer treatments also be a contraindication?
So actually, antibiotic is not a contraindication. It's just that when you use antibiotics, it might affect the skin microbiome in terms of the bacteria that are there. So the result of the test might be slightly different from if you are not using antibiotics. On the oncology side, the treatments are so wide, we can't really answer. It really depends on the treatment, etc. But for example, if you do radiotherapy, that's really with a strong laser on the skin, it might affect, but it's locally, so it might affect if you have it on the face or on the scalp, it might affect the results, but it's not a contraindication.
Thank you. So can I just clarify? So if somebody, our thought about this is if somebody's going through oncology treatment, they are actually going to have a microbiome for a period of time of taking that. So if they wanted to understand their baseline, or somebody's taking like ongoing antibiotics, that is going to be their new baseline, right? And at
Exactly.
least for that period of time, it's safe for them to take the test. It just,
Yes.
external and internal factors are always going to impact what that looks like.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it could be as well a good way to track, for example, your skincare regime. Let's say you start antibiotic treatments, so you want to have your baseline, and then you want to use like a product that might be boosting your skin microbiome, like for Flore products. So you can see that actually there is a positive impact. So it's not that it's a contraindication or the result will be less accurate. It's just some factors might influence your microbiome, but if you have a skincare regimen that counteracts this, it can help to regrow, the beneficial bacteria. So you can track this progress as well.
Thank you. That's
Yeah, and I would be curious about that too, because the LaFleur, our proprietary blend, has been intentionally created as a kind of a broad spectrum. We have specific strains that have been formulated together. And I wonder as well, I have some anecdotal experience from friends and things that have used the product to support their microbiome during that phase of being able to understand the rebuild process or the restoration process of what's happening to their skin. Because one of my dear friends went through cancer treatment this last year and she got dermatitis really bad, and being able to support her skin with something that was naturally occurring and being able to get rid of that irritation and that itch, and then being able to see that her skin was supported to where maybe it didn't impact her as much as it could have. So something to think about for sure. We are, just so everybody knows, working on some more information around oncology. We've done a little bit this last year, but we do have some exciting things happening at LaFleur with that. All right. Emily, did you have anything that you wanted to share with us?
Hi, guys. I'm Emily. I'm the in-house esthetician here at LaFleur. Such a great panel today. Even I learned some wonderful information, so I hope all of you did as well. Thank you guys so much for attending and teaching us more about these amazing skin health test kits. Is there anything you can say about a client? I know you talked about the forehead. I do have people asking if someone has an active flare-up on a certain region of their skin. I do have a lot of people wondering, can they put that test strip specifically on that area that's having the rash or the irritation if it's not on their forehead, but it's occurring on their face?
Great question.
So actually for this, they can definitely, but for this test, we really focus, as Marya said, we have skin microbiome is all over the body, but within the different region of the body, you have more moist or you have a drier skin. So the microbes will be slightly different. So this skin health test is redesigned for the face to really capture the key microbes on the face. So for example, if you use it at the back of the leg, the microbial population will be slightly different. So it will be less accurate because we are not looking at the exact same microbe. So I would say if you want to use this test, it won't be that accurate for other parts of the body.
What if they're having, like for me, my vitiligo came out after I had COVID, and if somebody wanted to test an area specifically, like Emily was saying, that as more of a location, is that, Emily, kind of what you're trying to ask? Or is it just everywhere, Emily?
Yes. If they're having some people get it right along the jawline or something like that, would they be able to put that there? Or it's a question I've been asked many times. So I just wanted to get the information out there for the group.
No, yes. So exactly. So as long as it's on the face, there is no issue at all. It's when I was saying there is some restriction maybe because the population of the microbes are slightly different. It's if you want to test your armpit or your feet where the population of the microbes are completely different. But as long as it's part of the face, there is no issue to use it and the test will be accurate.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. I know that's been something that people have been very curious about. Thank you for clearing that up. I really appreciate it.
But you still really encourage, the forehead is really the place to do it, right? To understand everything that's happening.
Yeah, and the patch is designed really to be on the forehead because, as you can see, it's quite long, but as long as you can use it on your cheek it's fine.
Okay. Tessa, I think I saw another question come through.
You did. And so I popped on here. I have a follow-up question to that last one. If you were to put it over an active outbreak, would it be irritating in any way if the skin was disrupted?
Mm-hmm.
So the patch actually is really a cosmetic grade patch. Yeah. There is this adhesive that you put on the forehead or on the part of the body you want to test, but it's not aggressive. So I will say if you have a really severe condition, skin condition with a very severe flare-up, it's best to avoid. But if you have acne lesion or like small reaction, it's completely fine. We tested this. It's a cosmetic grade patch, so you can use it safely.
Great. Thank you.
What about like open sores? Like we wouldn't want to put it like if you had open like acne.
Yeah, no,
Or
if you have
it's like cystic acne or something.
no, I think it's best to avoid really if you have a like even a fresh scar or something that might be sensitive. It's best to avoid.
Okay.
Okay. So we have a question. Can we use it on kids for eczema?
Yes, actually, we did some tests on kids, and it's completely fine to use it on them.
Okay, great. I think on the test kit itself, we recommend down to age, is it 8 or 13? 8, I think.
I think it was 13.
13?
13, I think, yes.
And that's really because there is the testing process, but I believe it's safe to use on really anyone.
Yeah, of course, we've done some tests on even newborn, so yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. The next question is, what was your method for narrowing down these 20 key microbes that are essential in facial microbiome?
Yeah, so that's all the R&D that we did for the past 5 years, actually. So it's a mix of, so it's really like from literature, research, internal research that's really identified these key 20 microbes that are both commensal bacteria, so the bacteria that live with you and they are beneficial, and also pathogenic bacteria. So that's all the bacteria that really give you the kind of a big picture of what's happening on your skin.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Last call for questions for our amazing panel. We really thank you both so much. It's been some great information.
I don't see anyone typing. I think that might complete the audience questions.
Wonderful. If anybody has any additional questions after this, please don't be afraid to reach out. Emily is always available. If you use our live chat on our website, she's the one that's answering those for us. Or you can contact us at info@lafleur.com. If it's something that is science-based, we'll make sure to tap over to our friends at Sequential. And everyone have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be with you.
Really appreciate it. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.